Yep. Okay, Merck's recording. Okay, so I'm just going to start off very basic. Okay, so once you have access, you hit the tab key. Okay, and you have basically apps you can add, or you have world. Okay, I'm going to focus on the apps, and there's some very basic apps that you can choose from. You know, image, model, screen, text, audio, website, video, stream. These will be probably the ones you use the most. I want to show an example of how you kind of position things, because that's kind of what world building is all about. And there's a little math involved sometimes. So I'm going to put an image on this wall right here. Okay, so I click the image. Okay, it shows me I can either pick a file locally or use a URL. Okay, so I'm going to grab a file locally. I'll just go right into use some of the Inkwell stuff. Okay, so I'm going to grab a picture from Inkwell. Okay, and you'll notice it doesn't show on the wall yet. Okay, so sometimes this is about rotation. Okay, so I typically with images, I turn on double-sided to yes until I kind of figure out what's going on. And then up at the top, it's an XYZ position of where the asset is. Okay, Y is always up and down. And this took me a while to figure out, whereas X and Z are kind of, you know, the left and right. But all you do, you see these arrows, okay? You click an arrow and you can move it up. You click, you move it down. Same with left and right. The in, the out arrow, you can kind of see it here in blue, but until you kind of get used to it, what you can do is like come at it from an angle, and now you can see that easier, okay? Now you'll see as I push it in, okay? So if you want to get right on the wall, you do that, and boom. Now if I go and I look, you know, I can't really see any space between the wall and the picture. What I typically do for rotation, sometimes it adds a little rotation up here, so I just zero it out to make sure it doesn't have any issues later. So images they have all sorts of options. Okay, you know, you can change the height of it. If I want to just make it bigger. Okay, I can light it or not lit. I can frame it. Oh, because I have to turn it around. There we go. So I can frame it. You know, I can change the color of the frame. Let's do blue. Okay, the width and the depth of the frame. And they're always adding new features here. So, you know, if you don't see a feature of something today, it'll usually show up tomorrow. The other important thing to understand about Hyperfy is basically anything is clickable. So if I wanted to like make that clickable to a website, I use the on click. I pick an action, so I can teleport, I can open a browser window, I can send a chat message. All this flag stuff is like for internal apps. And then there's tasks. Again, these lower ones are more for interaction. So let's say I wanted to open this in a new tab, and then just type in the website address I want to go to. Okay, and then the hint is what will show when you put your mouse over it. So, okay, the next important step is once you've done, make sure to always hit save. This is kind of like the old days of computers where if you didn't hit save often, you'd lose stuff. There's no auto save. So after you add something, always hit save to make sure it's good. So Now you can walk up to this wall. If you get close enough, you'll see the cursor shows up and the hint that I said inkwell shows up. And if I left click, it will take me there. Don't click it, otherwise you'll disappear. The one last thing I want to show as kind of a basic thing is, so this movement here is kind of, along the X, Y, and Z axis. Many times you'll need to rotate things. So there's two controls at the top. This is the X, Y axis thing. This is the rotation thing. Okay. And this globe takes a minute to get used to, but the outer one, is just rotate directly in that plane. Whereas if I pick this one, and maybe if I get on a side, it'll be easier to see. Yeah. So if I pick this one, it's going to rotate in towards me. Okay. Or if I pick this one, it's going to rotate this way. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. What you'll find a lot of time with rotation is, rather than using that rotate, you'll use numbers here. Okay. So, as an example, if I want to rotate it 90 degrees, oops, I'm touching the wrong thing. Hold on. This will happen a lot too. The Control Z button is your friend. Control Z undoes the last action. So I click back on my object. I'm at 180. Okay, so if I wanted to rotate this, it's a lot easier to just change it from 180 to 90 than it is to use that manual rotation thing, because you're not going to get specific degrees. And if you're working in squarish buildings like this one, okay, everything in general should be 0, 90, 180 degrees. So it should be easier to deal with things that way, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to put this back in place. Okay. That is the basic concept. I want to add a model, which is basically the same way, and then I'll stop and ask for questions. So if we go to model, so this could be a GLB or a VRM, even though it says GLB when the file explorer comes up, it'll accept VRMs as well. If we go to assets, I'm going to take pedestal here. Okay, so there is a pedestal. It's too small, so I'm going to make it 2 times the size. Okay, and I just want to push it over here in the corner. Okay, and again, you'll see when it comes up, sometimes it's not at 0 or 90 rotation, so you always kind of want to get it on a 0, 90, or 180 rotation so everything lines up. Okay. With this one, I can make it, because it's an object, I can add collision. Sometimes there's animation. And again, everything's got a click concept to it. Okay. Let me stop there and see if there's any questions on adding basic stuff. Is this all making sense? By the way, if you're joining the world, come inside the building on the left. Okay, so let me keep going. Yeah, Venus, it takes a minute. Once you kind of play with it a few times, it becomes easier. I've noticed math is useful. So like, if I wanted to place, like when I was creating the mech dressing room, I had all these pictures of mechs up here, and it was easier to get them placed properly to just throw them in place, calculate, the distance between the first and the last, and then do some math to figure out where I should place them, rather than trying to manually put them in place. Okay, the web view is really cool. I like this one for a variety of reasons. So I'm going to put this up here. And again, you'll see it doesn't start with a normal rotation of on 0 or whatever. So you pop it to 0, pull it out a little bit. Let's do CyberBrokers. And let's make this a little bigger. So I'm going to go width 5, 3.5. Okay, so now I've got a web page. Okay, I'm going to save this quick. Okay, and if you come over, you can now click it, and you can actually interact with it. Okay, so I can use the scroll to look through things. Okay, each person that's using this is actually using it separately, so they won't see what I'm seeing. It's kind of like an individual interaction point, which I think is kind of cool. You do need to be careful, because if you there's no like back button. Marker Ballistic, have you found a back button? How to move back in this pane yet? The other cool thing with this that I found, so you got to click outside of it to get out of it. You can also do the zoom. So I can make what's inside there smaller or bigger. Okay, so I can kind of like control how it looks. So for me, it's like, okay, 3 at a time is probably better than 2 at a time. So you can play with that as well. So that's a great, easy way to add interactive information right in your 3D world. The next, I'll pop over here.
Yeah, Carl. When I on in the hangar, that was more of a browser for me. So I had the back button at the top. Maybe because you zoomed in too much. I don't know.
There is a back, you think?
Yeah. Well, mine was. Is that the actual web page?
Yeah, that's the actual web page for Mech Styles.
Yeah. So on mine, it shows it as a browser. I'm sure that like the normal web browser back button. I might be wrong. But I haven't been on it for a little while. Are you zoomed in? Because you zoomed in quite a lot, so aren't you?
Yeah, I don't see a back button anywhere.
I'll double check.
Is there controls? Hold on. I don't see any like button to show controls. I don't know what the billboard versus no is either.
No, let me go and I'll go and have a look in my in the hangar and come back to you.
Yep. The other thing, you can also, there's always these visible options, which are really cool, because it allows, like when you saw Inkwell and you played in Inkwell, this is where the interaction came from. You can turn things on or off, and then you can write custom scripts that kind of take care of the logic behind when things should be on or off in world. So that's kind of the power of Hyperfy right now is, even without scripts, you can kind of still do things. Let's see. So that's a web view. Ballistic, do you use the screen for the video, or are you using a web view to look at the video?
I use a screen for when I'm sharing the paradigm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the screen. So yeah, you choose to share whatever tab you're on.
And Mark just said, Ash, who's the main person at Hyperfy, said the back button is coming in the next version. Yeah, so Hyperfy is constantly updating all of these. So let's take a look. So you can add a video in. So if you want a video that plays, text. Oh, this is a really cool one. So if I want to say, welcome to Hyperfy. Okay, again, I'm gonna change that to 0. Gonna pull up. Okay, so there's my text. You can see it on the wall. I'll make it a little bigger. Okay, I'm going to leave the font color black. I can make it go to the center, but I want to change the background color, to blue. So you know what? I should make the. Okay, then I want to give it a little padding around the side. I want to round the corners a little bit. Okay, and basically I have something, I can put over any other picture or object, or again, I can make it an interaction point. So I could say, instead of welcome to Hyperfy, let's say go back to spawn point. And then I'm going to change it to teleport. There's only one. I don't have a teleport location in here yet. Well, respawn will work. Okay. Okay. So if you click that, it would take you back to where you entered the world. Okay. That simple. Okay. By the way, before I forget, if you send me your if you send me a wallet address, I'll add you as a builder, and you can go play in one of these spaces. So as an example, where's mine? So I created one here for myself. So just grab a space, put your name on it. All you got to do is click the object, change the name to yours, and then that space is yours to play in. The intention of this world is for learning, not really building. So it will help you understand maybe if you'd like to buy a Hyperfy world. And some quick rules here: don't delete objects that aren't yours. Be nice. Don't add anything that's larger than 2 megabytes in size. Because otherwise, if everyone starts, loading the world up, it'll go slow. Only create in your own space. When you get in trouble, if you did something and you didn't mean to, Control Z is your savior. Ballistic and Merc, how many times have you used Control Z?
Thousands.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when I delete the whole lot, like the biggest object as well. It's like, oh my god, where's everything gone?
Yeah, or sometimes you like I'll click here, and I want to get this particular object, but for some reason it like clicks on the grass, and all of a sudden, boom, I just deleted the grass. That's like, oh my god, no.
Yeah, it's quite easy, I think, sometimes to click onto something else without realizing it.
Yeah.
Another object.
So don't panic. Control Z puts it right back. And then, the last one here, make sure to save often. Okay. And then after you're done playing, delete objects that aren't in use anymore, and of course have fun. So I want to kind of go back and look. I covered kind of the base objects you're going to use, but there are so many different objects to play with. There's portals that go to different worlds. this platform, this is how people are like making obstacle courses. So the platform will go up and down on different intervals. You can add clickable avatars. So, if you wanted to put, any of your avatars on the wall so people could click it and equip it, you could do that. The mirror, I think you've seen that before. The launch pad, let's here. Where did mine go? Oh, mine's over here. No. There we go. So I'm going to put a launch pad in here. Okay. And I put it down on the ground. And you can pick different styles. So I could completely change that if I want. Okay, but if I now go jump on it, yeah. So you could like make a whole game out of just placing these, and you have to like jump from one to the next before you fall into a void. Yeah. And you could create that whole game without any programming just by placing a whole bunch of those objects. Pretty wild, huh? Okay, let's go back and look at more. There's cars. So you've seen people creating racetracks. We'll get to the cyber racing world maybe next time. But CBGB is off, creating a racetrack, and we're going to try to get some Lost Paradigms vehicles in there. But it's an app. I mean, there's no like custom programming needed. You just drag the car app in, upload the GLB, define what parameters you want to use for your physics of your car, create a racetrack, and off you go. You can do grabbables. So if I want to like put something in world that I can pick up, let's see, do I have anything I can pick up here? A book. There we go. So there's a book. Okay, I'm just going to put it on the ground here. Okay. I want to put it in my right hand. Call it book. Okay. And then if I get close to it, I say grab. And now I can see the book in my right hand. Okay. You could change the position of this so you can kind of play with it a little bit. So like, if I want to look like it's more in my hand, okay, I can change. Go the opposite way. Okay, so now it looks a little bit more like it's in my hand. So you can play with the positioning of it that way. Yeah, no worries. Add some good background music. Maybe we can get like the piano and get each of those to have a different note, and we can get people to jump on them at different times to play music. Okay, so I want to get rid of the book. So I click return, and it goes back, to where it was. Let me keep going. The grid. Sometimes when you're building, the grid is really useful. So if I get rid of the grass here, each one of these squares is one unit inside the world. So sometimes when you're setting up the world initially and you're putting like a building down, having the grid up is very useful just so you can easily visually see sizing versus having to like measure sizes. Let's see. And then I'm not going to get too much into some of the interaction ones. The PvP is all in-app games. You can have scoreboards for the cars, timers for the cars. I could put a seat here So if I wanted to, do I have something I could sit on? Oh, let's do the pedestal. Oh, I put that in the emote, sorry. Oh, that's just a seat in general. I forgot, you're supposed to put the seat on top of something that already exists. But if you sit, you could change the animation, what they call a moat, while you're sitting. So you could have a specific animation for that. So if I come over here, let's pretend that was a bench. Okay, and now you can see I'm in a seated position. So any object you can place these on top of. Easy way to make places for audiences to hang out. Okay, I get up. Let's do a place. Okay. So these are ways you can kind of transport around from one place to another in a world. And again, you'll notice when I put it down, it's got this weird rotation to it. So I'm just going to change it to normal. Okay. When you look at this, you'll see the arrow. That's the way the person will point when they get teleported in here. Okay. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to put a sign. Let's do text. Let's say teleport. Yeah, I'm going to make it white, blue, and then on click, I want to teleport all the places you create. Okay, oops, I forgot to label it. So let me come back over here. I gotta label this place. Okay, so we'll label it my crib. Okay, go back over here. Okay, let me fix that up. Again, you see rotation is off. So I just put it to a 90 degree. I think it's all ready to go. I add a hint in here. Okay, and I haven't done this in a while, so I should save. Okay, so now I've got a button. It says teleport. Okay, boom, I click. Oh, I never finished that. Hold on. I had to select. So on click, and it'll give you all the place locations in the world. So you just click it. And boom, it just teleported me in the world. I think that particular feature is going to become very useful. You'll see us start using it inside of our CyberBroker worlds, because you want to try to jam as much into a single world as possible, because if you have to like jump worlds, it's going to completely reload on you, and you want to avoid that. So in the main CyberBrokers world, we're going to have different buildings or structures off, God knows where, it doesn't matter where they are, but you can teleport between them. And the really cool part is if you've got a mech mod attached, as long as you stay in world, it stays on you. And that's what we would want to try to do. Okay, let me go through a couple more things and then I'll stop and take questions. Zones are really useful. Okay, so I could so instead of going and clicking over here on teleport, okay, I could put a zone in place. Okay, and I'm going to make it point. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to put this zone right in front of teleport. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing. On enter, I'm going to teleport to this location. Okay, there's also other options on leave, on active, on inactive. So it gives you lots of flexibility for as people pass through an area, what you want to do. So you could like turn the lights on or activate music or do all sorts of various things. So I've added that. So now instead of clicking, I just walk and boom, I teleported. Okay. Point of interest is kind of cool. So I'm gonna, call this tell me more. Okay, I'm going to use let's use the katana as an example. I'm just going to say, greetings, this is a CyberBrokers Mech. Okay, you can have multiple messages. So this could kind of be like for a show and tell, so if you don't want to show information like on the wall, people could click and get more information, and then you could have multiple menu items, from that. Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, I want to rotate that. I want to rotate it 90 that way, I think. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay, and then I want to rotate there. So I'm going to put this over in the corner over here. Okay, now when I walk up to it, okay, I can click it and inspect. This is CyberBrokers Mech Mod. Let me add another message there. So message 1, the prompt is tell me more. And the response would be, you haven't seen this type of mech mod yet. Coming. Okay, and again, you could click. You can have all sorts of interaction here. Okay, so now when I go, okay, I've got the initial part, plus I've got tell me more. I click tell me more. So you can kind of see the menuing of information. This is an easy way to get interaction points without like pasting text all over the walls. And I think you'll probably start seeing us use this more and more. The NPC, basically, the NPC character is basically the same thing as this, just using a VRM. So it's like an avatar that you can talk to versus an object you can talk to. Same exact concept. Okay. The cool part about avatars, let me just move over here a little bit. The cool part about the NPC, so let me pick. Okay, so there's my NPC. I'm going to put it on the ground. The cool part about this is you can add animation in through a separate GLB file. And these are things that like come out of Mixamo. Merc, you've played with this a little bit, right? Oh, Merc can't talk. No, I mean the emotes, like getting animation out of Mixamo. I'm not sure where I put these emotes. Oh, there we go, Hyperfy emoji. So let's just do like a cross jump. Okay. Yeah. So Merck's saying, you can get them out of Mixamo. Um, the beauty of VRM is that it's a standard rigged frame. So basically you can, assume that all those bones are there, and Mixamo just does what you want with them as far as animation. Okay, this doesn't look like cross jumps. This looks like a bunny jump. I don't like that one. Let's pick a different one. There you go. Dancing twerk. Perfect. Okay. So again, I can have, hello, I'm an NPC, and I can have a message. What am I? Health spawn style from CyberBrokers. Okay, hit save. And so if I click to talk, oh, that's scary. What am I? Same concept. Okay, I am going to. I think that's where I'm going to stop. There's a guest book you can add. There's alerts. There's all sorts of. I could actually pipe chat into Discord. There's all sorts of audio lighting that you can add. I'm going to stop there.
I need to play with that lighting. That looks pretty sick on some of the builds, doesn't it?
Yeah, have you played with that?
No, not yet. I haven't had a chance to yet. I've seen them adding it to their VRMs as well, haven't they?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of people that are experimenting with the lights and the emissive part of a VRM. So like, I was in a world on Sunday, and the emissive part on a mech is the afterglow, and you look when you took your CyberBrokers into that world, like the afterglow literally glowed in that world, and it was the audio lighting, or the lighting in combination with audio, so it would kind of like flicker. Burke, you were there too. Do you remember that?
I think that is it. Howie, he's been doing a lot of that, hasn't he? I think
Howie's one of them that's been experimenting a lot. But yeah, I remember it was myself, Merck, and I think Jonah or Johan. No, Johan.
Yeah, Johan, that's right. I think I see you'd been in there. Yeah, he's got the Gigazilla.
He had the Gigazilla on, and oh my gosh, did that thing glow! It was like awesome. Okay, so this is why I personally have kind of gravitated towards Hyperfy, because you saw it's a easy user interface, and it has so many different apps that are standard that pretty much anyone can create a really cool interactive world without coding. From my side, there's a whole SDK part which allows me to then extend all of these things further. Like a good example I'll give, let's see, do I have it in my wallet? If I add uploads. So these were the apps I created for Inkwell. Okay, they were custom apps. But I don't have it here, but I created like, if I go and I look at this text, okay, you notice there's one thing missing on text. You can't pick the font. Okay, so all I did was I went and I found the code. Oh, excuse me. I went and I found the code for the text app. I copied it. I added a new field called font. I changed the code to, pick a font, off the internet, basically an OTF font. And now I've got an app that not only does text, but allows me to change fonts. So like if you noticed in Inkwell, all the fonts were like cursive script. Okay. Those weren't pictures. That was just text using a font. So for someone like me who has a little programming experience, it's really easy to add even more customization on top of what you've seen. I think you'll see with Mona and their new world builder, it's heading kind of in this direction, but they don't have scripting in public yet. Scripting's only in beta right now. Okay. Other question, Mox, Basancia, Venus, Ballistic?
No, not really.
I think you've gone through quite a lot. I think that, like you say, the good thing with Hyperfy is it's quite simple for most people to pick up, and they're always adding more apps. It's always progressing more and more all the time.
Yeah, and I think
probably, I don't know, 6 months or perhaps been on it. It's changed so much already.
They've been a year. They just passed their first birthday.
Yeah, I mean for myself being on it.
Okay, got it.
6, 7 months maybe.
It's a bit easier than well, looks like a bit easier than Decentraland.
Yeah, have you spent a lot of time in DCL?
Yes.
Okay. Does it have a similar like UI and how you add things?
I won't say. Well, there's some differences, but yes, it's a builder, like a builder tool, so you can just build anything you want from some assets, predefined assets. So you can just build with a limit of polygon. Well, I think there used to be a limit. So yes, you can just build whatever you want, and it's almost the same with this 3D physics, a bit complicated, but to be honest, I think there's even less customization in Decentraland. So that's great that we can import all of this actually. So not many questions right now. Maybe just. I get that we have a 2 megabits limit for the images and this kind of stuff, but is there any limit to what we can build?
In here, so this world that I've created, Cybercraft, is more what I would consider a learning world. So this is in place to help holders understand. Basically, is Hyperfy for you? Does it have the features, or is it easy enough for me to learn? So we CyberBrokers want to give you that opportunity. If you want to build, something, more permanent, it would probably be better to buy or mint a world. I think the Hyperfy worlds are minting for 0.09 ETH right now, although sometimes you can get them on secondary for less than that. As far as Basancia, that's a good point. So if you look at the screen, this little gauge down here will show you kind of performance. Okay, so this particular world right now has 133 polygons in it, 265 different draw calls, and 20 megs of assets. And then you can look at each individual asset and see where it's coming from. Okay.
I'll probably want to delete that, Mr. Griff.
Yeah, eventually, yeah. In general, to get good performance, you want to try to stay under 500,000 polygons, and you want to stay under 50 meg. You can go over that, but if I've found once you start going over, sometimes you can get weird things. So that's poly and size is kind of one thing. There is no limit. Hyperfy does not prevent you from adding as much as you want. Okay. It's just performance-wise, you'll notice things. The other thing you can do is if you type the if you touch the tilde character, let me get out of here. You'll see in the upper right, kind of how it's performing. So right now in this world, I'm getting 120 frames per second. That's I see someone's playing with the moon. So I'm getting good performance here. And then draw calls is the next thing. You really want draw calls to be in the low hundreds. If you start getting over 300, that's when you'll start getting kind of slow moving performance. Okay, and you'll notice as I move around and walk, those numbers change some. So this world is performing pretty well right now, well, because it's got not much in it. Inkwell, if you remember the Inkwell experience with that main building and 8 separate kind of rooms and all the assets in it, that was under 50 megabytes, and it was just about 500,000 poly. So that's why the experience worked well. The other thing I wanted to show from a world owner perspective, so you can set the picture, the title, description. You can have spatial or global chat. So spatial means the further away, the less you hear the audio, whereas global is it's the same volume level no matter where you are. I'm going to ignore the collaborators part. And then the single versus infinite. So you can define how many max people per instance. I could probably increase this number, but I've been sticking at 40. If you only have one instance, that basically means people will get the message, I can't load because there's already 40 people in there. Whereas infinite means it'll just rotate to a next instance and all 40 people might not be in the same room. I think you saw some of that with Inkwell. And then private instances, so you could allow people to add their own / word after the world, and that would create your own private instance. So unless you knew that word, you couldn't get into that version of the world. And we use that feature for Inkwell as well. Each faction created their own kind of private keyword. So again, there's lots of options here. Basancia, sorry, did that answer your question about building?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, once it takes a little practice, I'm sure, from what you were saying about Decentraland, it's kind of the same thing. Once you kind of get used to it, it's probably not too difficult. Ballistics, you know what? Let's all go over to Ballistics World for a minute. Let me do this. So I'm going to change the teleport here. I'm going to change it to open. What's your slug, Ballistic? Mark, do you know what it is? Is it just Ballistic B? Okay, let me check quick here before we go somewhere else.
Sorry, Carl, what were you after?
What's your address for your Hyperfy?
It's BB's Metaverse.
Hyperfy.io. BB's. Oh, there we go. BB's Metaverse. Okay, so we'll put that there. I'll change that here. Okay, I hit save. Okay, so if everyone walks to the teleport now, you'll end up going into Ballistic's mech hangar. Now you'll note Ballistic has a lot more items in here, and it's still loading pretty fast. So nice job on optimizing your assets. Okay. Ballistic, do you have any 3D experience at all?
No, none at all, really. Only very basic stuff over the years.
Yeah. So basically what you did is you found a building you liked, right? You put that in place.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you started adding things in. Do you have any cars in here?
Yeah, there's the go-kart and that cyber racer you can drive around in as well.
Where's the go-kart? Oh, I see.
Over by the big screen there, by the present.
Yeah. The cool part I wanted to show here. So this is a Lycan X mech, right? You've made it huge. You've given it a pose, and then you've imported the GLB. Okay, but it's large enough that, oh, I gotta go over here. Okay, if I click to sit, I am now sitting inside the mech cockpit. Okay, so this is the cockpit window here. I don't know if you people have noticed this before, but you'll see there's actually a place to sit in the cockpit inside of your mech. You just don't see it a lot because it's not big enough. So if I pop out, you'll see I just came out of the middle of the mech. Pretty cool. Let's do your go-kart. So these are all standard apps, right, Ballistic? There's nothing custom in here.
No, that's the standard app, that the go-kart, yeah.
Yeah. So all Ballistic did was add the cart app. You click enter. I can kind of see myself sitting in the cart. Okay.
I think there's like four default vehicles you can use, and then you can obviously add any custom ones you like.
Yeah, and then you can change the physics on these things. So if you wanted to like drift more versus the tires grip. Oh, sorry. Yeah, cars don't have collision. We were thinking about a like mech demolition derby. So CBGB is playing around a lot with the racing course. He's creating one in that CB racing world, and we're working on getting some of the Lost Paradigms vehicles to use in there. Thought it'd be something pretty themed. Oh, there we go. Someone's in the Cyber Racer.
Yeah, that's me. I've in another world, I got it working a little bit better than what I need to.
I actually hear noise.
The mechanics.
How did you get that to rev? Ah, where are you going?
What happened?
Yeah. Oh, here's an example of the platform. Remember I was talking about that platform earlier? So you can see one right here. So if I go and jump on the platform, it literally takes me up. I can jump in the mech. Okay, so just an example of how easy it is. Ballistic, you had this like up and running within a week, and then you've just been adding to it since, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, pretty quick to. I just went on I can't remember what site it was now. Brought the hanger, loaded that into the world, and then just been adding bits as I go along and learning really while we're going along.
And then, these are examples of portals, I think. I forgot to show these. So this is a portal. Yeah. So these go to other worlds. So if I like walk through it, it will take me in my current browser or a different one into a different world. So like this is the Mona CyberBrokers mech dressing room. So if I walk through it, it would go to there. So it's an easy way to link worlds up. Okay, we're at an hour. I'm going to stop. I think this is good for basic. Any wallets that were DM'd to me, I will go add now so that you have access to the cybercrafting world and have fun learning. If you have questions, pop them in chat. There's plenty of people around to answer. Any other questions before we end?
No, just thanks for sharing some of that, Carl.
I should get you up here. You could probably do this better than me.
No, you're a better talker than me. That's for sure.
Okay, thanks everyone, and have a great day.